Man, I'm in a truck stop parking lot.
Yeah, we about to do it. Watch us get into it. We some lumberjacks, and we needin' wood. Yeah, we going for the sweet, then we mop it up. We put it all on the block, and then we chop it up, 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 chop it up. We put it all on the block, and then we chop it up.
Ooh. Chopping block, baby.
Well, you heard it there. It's the Chopping Block podcast coming from Alpharetta, Georgia, Sandstone, Virginia, somewhere in a truck stop with no lights. Coach is, we got lights over here in Georgia. I had to look outside to make sure, but not for long. So Coach is going to be in the dark. So, but hey, we're going to have some other guys on here tonight. And what a juicy week one it was. I'm sure people had burgers on the grill, ribs on the smoker. Who knows what you was cooking, but it ain't going to be as juicy as what week one was in college football. So, hey, tonight's sponsor, a free advertisement for in my opinion, 7 Farms pickled jalapeno quail eggs. Go to your local Walmart all over the country, get you some. If you like quail eggs, this will be the best. So, hey, free advertisement tonight. If you want your business shouted out next week, give Coach a call. So, hey, tonight to start the night.
Hold on, the greatest chef that I know is in Walmart eating quail eggs.
Listen,
I'm gonna have to on that alone. I'm gonna have to try me some quail eggs.
What is saying here, right? If you build it, they will come. Somebody built it, and I found it. So that's how we're going to start that. But, hey, somebody built this game, and boy, did Florida State come to it and show up, show out. Roll Tide Willie on the screen. Listen, y'all, he might have a stroke this year. We were talking about it pregame. We pray for Willie's health and well-being. Great people there, and I think they're from Troy, Alabama. But anyway, what do you guys think about this beat down in Tallahassee? I mean, let's just call it what it is. We talked about it in the pregame. 55 yards rushing on the first drive for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and only 20 or maybe less than that after that. Florida State rushes, I think, for over 250 yards. Tommy Castellanos, unbelievable. Coach Price, what do you got to say on this?
It's what I've been saying the whole time about this hire that they got at Alabama. First of all, great coach, wins everywhere he goes, but you don't know SEC football. And you just described it right there at the beginning. 50 yards rushing on your first drive, and you don't go back to it. That's West Coast Beach Boy ball. And that's what he's playing. I mean, you got to think about it. They hired a guy that just got drilled in a national championship game. That should tell you a little bit of something about it. But you brought him in anyway. And I'm not taking anything away from the man's talent. I'm not taking anything away from his, what he's done over his career. Great job. Hat goes off to you. But one thing you got to understand is there are 3 levels to big boy football. One is the NCAA. The other one is the SEC, and then you have the NFL. And if you can't adapt, you're not going to make it. Now, I think that Alabama will be okay once he gets his head out of his tail and his offensive coordinator understands. Once you go back and look and see what the legends are in the SEC, and it starts with running backs, nothing has left. It's just the talent that's got bigger and the talent has gotten better. But I think he's safe until he end up getting beat by an Auburn Tiger. And if that was to happen, it doesn't matter what his buyout is, he is gone.
You done got a little bit ahead of yourself. Okay, you done got all the way down to the Iron Bowl. It's gonna happen before that. It's gonna happen before that. You got to understand, first of all, he's going to lose some more games before then. Georgia is going to put the foot in that ass. You might as well go ahead and get ready for that. Georgia gonna put the foot in Alabama ass. Because you know why? Because here's the thing. Kirby cannot lose to him. If Kirby loses to a wounded, beat down DeBoer, I'm gonna be on here talking about his ass. Okay? Yep. It's time for Kirby to show up and put that dog in that elephant, them dog feet in that elephant ass. I'm telling you right now. So it's not gonna, okay, Georgia gonna start that thing off. He gonna eat cupcake for the next 2 weeks, then he gonna have that bye game. And then Georgia. Where's that game at anyway?
It's in Athens.
Oh my God! Oh my God! This man must have went to a church and shit at in the pews for him to have this type of luck. He done something bad. I like this man, but you mean to tell me you gonna get your ass whooped by Florida State? And first of all, I said when I started this conversation, I was going to do one thing. We got to start off by giving Tommy Can't Stop Elena's, that's what I call him, Tommy Can't Stop Elena's. We got to give him some credit. Because this man said, listen, man, I done changed my mind on humility. Humility is a great thing in most places except football. Okay? Football don't need no humility no more. All you need is to take your ass on the field, put your cleats in the ground, and play some ball. And whoever to the victor goes the spoils. And this man right here, he said it. Nick can't save you. And I don't think y'all can stop me. And listen, I'm sitting back thinking to myself, oh, he just talking cash shit. He just talking shit. He don't know what he's about to run into with Bama. Oh, well. He didn't give a damn. And you know what happened? Because this thing could have went 2 ways. It could have went, he had stuck his foot in his mouth, but it went the other way. He revved up his team, and they went in there and beat the hell out of Alabama. Okay.
Hey, and another little note on that right there is you're gonna have a lot of Alabama fans coming across that Gus Malzahn was the difference. And this is why I argue and say, no, Gus would have prepared to beat Nick. He already knew that DeBoer wasn't shit. Because he knew he wasn't an SEC coach. And I am, and I'm in the ACC. So for all those that want to say Gus Malzahn knows how to coach against Alabama, if he knows how to coach against Alabama and he beat them, he was preparing for a Nick Saban team, not a DeBoer team, so they can go ahead and squash that one on out too.
Okay, think about the irony in all of this too. This man, you see what I said right there? They did what to you? They left this man out of the playoff. Wasn't he undefeated that year?
Indeed.
He was.
He was undefeated and got left out the playoff. And you already know that Gus don't give a damn about Alabama.
Oh, no.
I think they talked before this game and said, let's go in there and beat the shit out of them.
Well, you could see on the sidelines how much it meant to Gus Malzahn. I mean, he was celebrating every small victory they had. And, I mean, he's always been honestly, for a guy that looks like a computer science teacher, he's got a lot of intensity. You know, he does have some intensity. Great coach, and he is an offensive guru. He is one of the best of our era, in my opinion. He is a great college, offensive coordinator. But, and I mean, honestly, as a head coach, he was 20 seconds away from being a national champion with Nick Marshall at quarterback. So he's a great coach. But you know what's funny? I'm going to mention this, and then I'll throw it to Havoc before we move on to the next segment. This is a perfect picture right here. I sent this to Barry, I think, or maybe he sent it to me. I can't remember what it was.
Sent it to me.
About the Cracker Barrel. So, and this goes to show, okay, if you check the comments on the Bama boards and you read what the fans are saying and what people said about Cracker Barrel, right, you can change the logos and this and that, but when the product itself is changing and not as good, that's what really matters. $700 million change in this sense and what who knows, $100 million coaching change to get DeBoer, I mean, the product is changing itself. Nick Saban felt it. And to be honest, here's the difference between DeBoer and Saban, right? Saban is a 5'7", older man, right? And he is going berserk on the sidelines at practice. Probably at Bible study. Who knows? And here's the thing. Nobody on a team that's full of 6'4", 6'5" guys, big guys, they don't want to be looked at as a wimp to a little coach like that. So they're going to play hard. They're going to show that intensity, and he's the greatest of all time. Let's just call it what it is. Mm-hmm. So you have to show up to play for a Nick Saban Alabama. That's gone. I mean, these guys, I'm going to call it what it is. They look soft on Saturday afternoon in Tallahassee. And when the rain started pouring down, it seemed like they didn't want to be out there. Sugar must melt. That's all I got, Habit. Take it away.
You there, Habit? You muted, Habit.
Yeah. What the question was? Alabama,
Florida State. What do you got as a Florida fan?
Man, where do I begin? Boy, did I have to eat those words from last week. Turns out Tommy Castellanos backed up every word he said, and I heard one thing you said, Steve. You said the word soft. Boy, that is the best word to describe. And I can't believe I'm saying this, Alabama right now. This has to be the softest Alabama team I've seen, I think, in my 33 years of existence. To think that they threw 14 passes. Tommy Castellanos, he's going to run the ball. He's going to run it 20 times. And they did it anyway. And he ran it down their throats. They had over 300 rushing yards. I couldn't have seen that happen with Nick Saban, but as not my boy, because I'm anti-FSU. I'm a Gator all the way. But as Mr. Castellanos said, Nick Saban in there to protect you, and I don't think you can stop me. And they didn't. So,
hey, okay. I gotta introduce this. Okay, we got an Auburn fan that just came into the building, and I know he connected to Gus. I know he connected to Nick Saban, the whole Alabama ecosystem. I want to hear what you got to say about this game right now.
Man, Christmas came early. And it ain't just me. It's the rest of the country. Other than about, I don't know, maybe a couple 100,000 real Alabama fans. Everybody's happy they lost. But I wish you could have heard when Gus was the coach of Auburn. Every time they would lose, like a game they weren't supposed to lose, or because Gus was good for 8 or 9 wins a year, he just never could get over the hump just one time. Every time that happened, how much crap I took from Alabama fans about, oh yeah, you happy the Gus bus, blah blah blah, Gus this, Gus that, Gus bus fall off the tracks. So for that to happen is such poetic justice for that dude, because that was exactly the same offense Auburn ran when he was the coach of Auburn, and he gave them fits. And the crazy part is they're so skewed on stats, Barry. They don't want to look at like the thing with like right now. They act like, oh, we're cool because Kalen DeBoer's 5-5, bro.
He sure is.
They ain't cool. There ain't nothing cool going on down there, and I'm not going to overreact and say they're not going to win 8 or 9 games this year because they might. I don't know. We'll see when they get in the meat of the schedule. But them getting dump trucked by Gus Malzahn was just. It was beautiful.
You brought something up that I want to do a really quick fire question with you guys, really quick, before we go to the next one, and it's about this team. You talked about Kalen DeBoer being 5-5 in the last 10. You know what is even more shocking? Ryan Williams has not had over 100 yards receiving since the Georgia game last year, and he dropped 4 passes in this game. I mean, I don't understand what is going on with him. Was it just a one game? What do you guys think? Quick fire.
No. It's not just one game. And I'm telling y'all, I hope y'all understand. When Coach said earlier, there's levels to this. Nick Saban could have, I believe he could have took last year's team to the Natty. He can take this team.
What does that got to do with him dropping 3 or 4 balls over the middle?
Coaching, focusing, making sure that your team is set and ready to go. When you listen, man, you ever been in your house and kids just running all over the place with mama, and then when the daddy walk in, everything just calm down? That's Nick Saban. He makes you dial in a little bit more, man. That's what's wrong. It ain't the talent, it's the coaching.
But we already knew that when the little young receiver came in last year, that Nick had already sold the house. So he never met this daddy. What happened is you come out and nobody knows anything about you, and you go off, and we know that you're the go-to guy. The very next year, we plan to take you out of the picture. All they doing is just putting coverages on him, just taking him out of the picture, because now you're in a real situation where whatever coverage you put on him, there is no Jalen Miro to strike out of the backfield and go for 70.
Yeah.
It's true. Very true.
Kevin Davis, you're here. I didn't think you was going to show up. Tony chicken out. I'm glad you was man enough to come here and speak truth. Let's hear it.
I mean, you know, I listen to you guys, and pretty much I agree with most of what everybody says. I haven't seen an uninspired Alabama team like that since Mike Shula, and that's the God's honest truth.
Amen.
The coach, the same expressions on the sideline, just a look of like he had no clue, he had no answers. And you know, I do disagree. I don't think Saban would have took last year's team to the Natty. I think Saban missed on several evaluations his last couple of years, and that's kind of what you see now. But I know one thing is, you know, Saban would not have put up with, you know, we might have lost that game in the same fashion, but those players would be throwing up today and the rest of the week, every practice. And if they didn't like it, they'd be gone. I just didn't see anything that, you know, made me feel any different than I went into the season thinking about Alabama. You know, I watched this same team play the same exact way every game last year. So, you know, what can I say, man? I mean, there's just, you know, we're in we're in a different spot, and I really think Alabama fans are just going to have to kind of get used to, you know, maybe being average. You know, and it's been a long time since we've had anything close to average. You know, when Saban retired, I kind of felt like, you know, we would get at least a couple Les Mile type years that LSU got. But the landscape's different. Players are different. It was a different time. I feel like we got some talent. I feel like there are several players on that team that played, you know, for the University of Alabama on Saturday. But I feel like the majority of that team was playing for themselves.
Well, Kevin, I think, you know, I talked to my wife about this last night. We landed in the bed. And I said, baby, I love the kids just as much as you love them. But sometimes somebody got to give them a hard truth.
Absolutely.
And so the problem is, man, I don't think it's talent. I think it is DeBoer. He's a nice guy. He's a super nice guy. He's a guy that you sit down, have a beer with, a cognac, you go play around the golf with him, all of that. But when it come down to getting them men ready to go play against other men in SEC football, and hell, we can't even talk about SEC. He's 0-4 on unranked teams. Are all of those SEC? I'm not sure.
Well, the problem, the scary part is, you know, I gave DeBoer a chance last year. He took Washington to a national title. No one's ever done that. Well, I take that back, but you know, it's not a real common thing. But what I really never did consider, and I should have, was he had a first round top 10 NFL draft pick playing quarterback. And, you know, we don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we might on the bench, but who knows? So And it's not something that's going to get fixed overnight because Kalen DeBoer, if Alabama fired him at the end of this year, they'd owe him $70 million for a
Yep.
buyout.
Yep.
But that
So
ain't really no money.
it is a lot
It
of
is
money.
in
But
I hear
itself.
I
No
hear
doubt.
everybody say that, guys.
and listen to this too. This is my last point. I read today from a very reliable source that has contacts within the team. Texas, Ohio State, Oregon, several other teams have between 40 and $50 million per year to spend on NIL. Alabama's spending 20 million.
Hmm.
I heard that too.
So,
Well, my thing is, okay, two things. One thing is let him shit the bed for the rest of the year and see how much 70 million really is. They're gonna
Yeah.
say screw that 70 million and they're gonna fire his ass.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that also hurts though too, because like I don't think any really good coach wants to come even be the second guy behind Nick Saban if the first guy only lasts a year or two. Um,
I
and,
mean,
and when you're paying, there's no way that no booster, hardly any boosters are going to pay a buyout of that magnitude and just be done with it. It's going to that type of buyout, and Craig can speak to this. I mean, Tommy Tuberville's still getting a check from Auburn, so
Yeah.
those buyouts are spread out, 10 to 13 years, and that really hurts the amount of money you can give to your next, your coach.
Oh,
So
I'm glad you said that because I think they're gonna have to redo it. They're gonna have to change how they do these coaches' contracts.
absolutely,
These
the
this
coaches
this
are
this
smart. I mean, they know what they're signing. They're smart.
yeah, but me if I'm in school, like especially Alabama, you don't think that Debo would have went there for 3 years? You know,
No, I don't.
I think Alabama could have negotiated that with him.
I think if
Yeah.
Dabo Sweeney were to go to Alabama, in my honest opinion, it would have to be 5 years or more. Like he's
Well,
not
Sweeney,
going.
I get Sweeney. I mean, I said Debo, not Dabo.
Oh, my bad.
I know Sweeney because he got a little bit more clout. You know, he don't want that thing. You know what I mean? But he hasn't. And you're going to get in the job. Alabama, no, as much as I hate them, it is the job. Or I should say it was the job. And this is why I say that $70 million ain't a whole lot of money. If you can find the right person. That's the caveat. Because guess what? It ain't about just losing games. It's about losing recruits. Because once you lose your thing, once Alabama loses that thing that they have, all of these years with Nick Saban, let's be honest. Yes, Nick Saban is the GOAT. But when you win, success breeds more success. And when that goes down the hill, the whole program is going to die.
Kalen DeBoer can fix his issues. I think if he has it in him, he's going to have to get a little more. I'm not even going to say Saban, just a little more of a hard ass in him.
Yeah.
He's going
A little
to have
bear
to,
in him.
he's really going to have to say, look, go to his team and say, look, I don't care what you're getting paid. If you are dogging it on the field, alligator arming passes, I see no intensity. You can go somewhere else, or you can sit your ass on the bench, and I'll bring in transfers next year from Louisiana Monroe that want to start and play hard for Alabama.
And you know what else? You know what else I say? And I guarantee you, Nick Saban said this. Okay, if you don't want to, I ain't gonna be the only one. I ain't gonna be the only one going down. I might go down, guys, but they're gonna have to give me $60-70 million going out of the door. Y'all go down, you're not gonna make it to the next level. Yeah. We all in this motherfucker together.
Yeah.
So if we want to go and be an embarrassment to the whole country as an Alabama football team, we can do that. But I'm gonna go. You remember Nick Saban said that the time when I find out that I can't motivate y'all, he said something about going to watch ducks shit on the beach.
The players,
and that's the same conversation that Debo need to have with his team. Do you want to go to the NFL?
The players need to be, and Saban, this is one of Saban's greatest quotes ever, and it's so true. He said all throughout his college coaching career, and he said this about a year before he retired from Bama. He said, no NFL GM has ever called him and asked if a player can play. He said the only two questions they ask is what kind of person they are and are they a leader?
Mm.
They got years of college football tape to watch as GMs. They know if you can play the game. They want to know what kind of player you are and if you got the desire to actually play it. And these kids are putting out film right now, like Ryan Williams. It's like, would you want to take a he's Ryan Williams is a legit top 5 NFL talent.
Yeah.
Would
Right
you take
there.
him in the
Hold on,
him
right
in the
now.
top 5 with what he's put on tape as far as his desire to play? No. So that's
Hold
what
on,
they
you calling him a top 5 NFL talent?
no,
right now?
Talent-wise.
no. I'm just he's a top 5 legit NFL talent as far as getting drafted in the top 5 to 10.
Mm.
And he really is. But I mean, he showed that last year. He came in and he really played well for us last year. But he started a podcast this off season, and he's got all these other things going on in his life that doesn't have anything to do with football. But they do have money coming into his pocket. So what does he care about? Does he care about football? Or does he care about his NIL and his podcast dollars and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got to say about Alabama, man. I'm disappointed, but I'm not shocked. I wasn't surprised. Like I said, I picked them and picked Florida State, and the game kind of went like I thought it might.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we covered everything on that one. I mean, let's move on to what was the game of the week last week. And, we talk about disappointments. Let's just say that both offenses were a disappointment on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon. I know that Ohio State scored 2 touchdowns, one in the fourth there to take it up 2-touchdown lead. But, both coaches really protected the quarterback. And in Texas, and the way I look at Texas, why would you protect Arch Manning? He was so tight in that fourth quarter, especially the late third quarter. He's throwing on the run, throwing sidearm, just off target. I mean, there was a stat that I saw that his first 5 passes, I think, over 5 yards were not even on target. So, I mean, he was shook for some reason, playing Ohio State. And I will say this, shout out to defensive coordinator Matt Patricia. And I know I'm a Patriots guy, but let me tell you, this guy, he had Steve Sarkisian in a Nolan Ryan headlock beating his brains in all night. I mean, he had him shook. That's just all it boils down to. In my honest opinion, before I let you guys take it away for the rest of the segment, this is more about Steve Sarkisian failing and Matt Patricia winning than it is about Arch Manning. And I don't even think Ryan Day is, even – there's no point in conversating about him about this game. It's all Matt Patricia, Steve.
No.
I know you hate it, Barry.
No.
That's what it is. Take it away.
No. Y'all not going to do this tonight. Y'all not going to do this tonight.
Here comes the Ryan Day fan club.
I was going to sit back and wait till everybody else talk. You not going to do that. Okay? Everything, the buck stops with Ryan Day. If his offensive coordinator, defense coordinator was acting ass doing crazy stuff, we'll have 7 billion fingers pointed at Ryan Day. He is running that ship. I heard something today that said that Ryan Day is the only active head coach with a national championship. Did I hear that right?
That's wrong.
Huh?
Yeah,
That's wrong.
Yeah, Dabo's won one.
I don't know what
Dabo Swinney won one.
Kirby Smart.
Kirby. Yeah.
Kirby, Dabo.
I have to figure out what it was, but let's get back to it. Ryan Day is the new king of college football head coach.
Oh God.
I don't care. Listen, if we listen, he hurting right now because of one thing. Just saying, Julius saying, I don't know what he is yet. He got a lot of work to do. But the way they manhandled Texas, the way they did that freaking defense, I mean, everything. It was beautiful. It looked like a big. See, y'all hate the Big Ten. I love the Big Ten. I know having like the Big Ten. I having like the Big Ten. Them big, brutal defensive football games. That Texas-Ohio State game is one of the best games we're going to see this year, baby. And I'm going to tell you something. It did have a lot to do with Patricia. I give Patricia his credit. I even put his picture on the slide right there. He right there. I put his picture on the slide.
Yeah,
but
he gets a little bit ugly.
You cannot dismiss the contributions of Ryan Day. Y'all want to do that. But he is doing his job. He's doing his job well. He is the reigning champ. You got to give him what he had to do to get credit, Havoc. Havoc, can you help me out? What does Ryan Day have to do to get any credit?
Honestly, I mean, he did a good job winning this game, but let's keep things in perspective here. This was Arch Manning's first start in a big game against like a quality opponent. And I mean, he wasn't ready. He needs reps. It's pretty clear. Arch needs reps. He looks very inexperienced, not confident out there. And the defense did a great job. Now, granted, I mean, he's the CEO, head coach, so he has something to do with all of it. But I mean, yeah, Matt Patricia was the main reason. Now, you can credit Ryan Day for hiring Matt Patricia, but I mean that's the reality of it. When you shut down Texas that way, yeah, I'd give them both credit. I mean, we'll give them both credit, Barry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you what, the fan base wants Ryan Day to do: be better than 1-4 against Michigan. I mean, the championship great. Don't get me wrong, but you keep losing them Wolverines every year. It's going to be some problems. If you remember last year, that was the only way people were talking about him being on the hot seat after the Michigan loss.
We wrote him off
He
last
can
year.
lose to Michigan this year if he win that natty. Nobody.
That's the only thing to say. That's his saving grace so far.
That's what I tell y'all. When you win the Super Bowl or you win the national championship, you can no longer write the history of the game. Our beloved game, football. You cannot write the history without Ryan Day. He's immortal now. Until last year, everybody could say anything, but now he's immortal.
How many rings does Patricia have?
Well, Patricia's, I'm saying he's great, but does he have a national championship?
Dude, he studied at the foot of Bill Belichick, and that dude won a Super Bowl with a McDonald's drive-through person as a receiver. I saw it.
Yeah, we understand now why. Because we understand that's because Tom Brady, not Bill Belichick. Look what he did the other night. You know, so.
I think it's both. It's both for a little while.
Well, I mean, he also didn't have Matt Patricia or Tom Brady. I mean, you look at that.
Coach,
Kevin, what you got on it?
What I got to say about it is Brock Vandagriff. They need to quit going after these dadgum Christian Academy quarterbacks. I don't give a damn what his name is. Okay? Because we already know at a Christian Academy, the teams that you playing every week are averaging 165 pounds across the offense and defensive line. If he was playing IMG in schools like that, he would have been ready for this ball game. But it just shows you that he went from high school dominating to first college start getting pushed around and was afraid to throw the ball, wanted to rush it out of the pocket. Everything about him looked terrible. I don't care what his last name is. I don't care how many camps he went to that his uncles were running. The bottom line is you didn't play quality talent when you were in high school, and you just can't transform that over to college. Brock Vandagriff, 5-star quarterback, going to Georgia. Never once called his name because I knew he came from a Christian academy. They don't do shit over there. They don't play nobody. Point blank, period. If you sit here and told me right now that, hey, man, did you hear about this guy named Blue Tennis Shoe? He's a 5-star quarterback. Who does he play for? Unity Christian. Get the hell out my face.
I mean, you ain't wrong, Coach. I mean, it is. I mean, there's a video of him being rushed in high school. I think his senior year. And, I mean, the guy rushing him as a defensive end 5'5", 225 pounds. I mean, and he's barely moving. And it's like this guy can just run through the end zone, swerving, you know. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I do agree. He looked shook when he faced a real defense. And nobody's mentioned Sarkisian. All of you guys are offensive guys for the most part. And how are we letting this guy, I mean, what was going on? Did he have a couple beers before the game again? I mean,
speaking on
I mean, I agree with Barry. First off, I think Ryan Day is, you got to give that man his flowers.
Thank you.
Everything that happens at Ohio State happens, because he makes the call, and he's bringing in ridiculous talent every year. No matter what the payroll is, you're paying the right guys. He's bringing in great coaches. I'm glad our pick'ems aren't public, because I had a terrible weekend picking. But this is one of the other games that I had a feeling, man, when you go into the shoe as a first year starter, and I knew Patricia was there. I knew that defense was going to be ready. It always is. I just didn't think Manning would have a good game. Now I'm not down on Manning either. I think he's going to be fantastic. He made several throws in that game where I was wow, that's an NFL type throw. But at the end of the day, Sarkisian has a lot of questions answered. He's not really. He's one of. I think he hangs his hat on that Alabama victory that he had a couple years ago, and that's really it so far. So I still think Texas. I think by the end of the year, maybe week 7, I think Texas is really going to be rolling. They'll understand more on what Ryan Day, or not Ryan Day, but they'll understand more what Manning can do and can't do. They'll get the running game cranked up, and he'll look better. But it's just too much for a first year quarterback.
Kevin, let me end this segment with this right here, Dalton. Manning, media mayhem, got bugged. See, it's a difference in the media and actually putting your cleats on the turf. See, everybody wants the first family of football. See, when you putting a target on a young man's back, because there's a whole lot of other dudes out there want to eat too. They want a little press. All you see on all the commercials. I couldn't tell what the game was. Was it the commercials or was it when he was actually on the field? He got too much going on in there. They trying to make him into a businessman and not a football player. You know what this really is? Nobody won't say it, but I'll say it. This is the damn shit there is Sanders of Texas. That's what it is. Okay? Let's be honest about it. If they thought because he was a man and he get to go into the shoe and do what he do. Around they said, oh no, hell you ain't. Not up in my house. And I don't think it's gonna get better. I think if he meet more and more defenses, they're going to have a target on his head. They're going to be going for that ass. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if I could strap up, if I wasn't 50-year-old man, and I can get on that line and get through there, I want to taste his ass. Because, they're making him into the golden child. So that's part of it, guys. The media, the hype. Everything behind him. If his name wasn't Manning, he would be getting murdered right now. This dude was throwing balls on the ground. He was throwing the football 3 and 4 yards in front of his receivers. Damn, at least throw an interception. He looked terrible, y'all. Y'all got to admit, this guy, he looked terrible. But let's talk.
Hey. Well, we'll talk about somebody who, for the first time in, I guess, 4 years now, didn't look terrible to start the opening week of college football. The LSU football Tigers go to Death Valley, which I agree with you. We can call it Death Valley Part 2 because Death Valley is in Baton Rouge. And that's just all it is about it. I've seen it firsthand. But the LSU Tigers on defense, they finally figured it out. I mean, I got to give him credit. Brian Kelly, we talked about it. He's a weird guy. We bashed him last weekend. He tripped over the referee this weekend on the sidelines, and he got up and I guess he was cussing him out in Cajun that he just learned. And yeah, I'm sorry I had to. We hit him last week on that. But LSU, hey, on defense, they figured it out, guys. And on offense, they did just enough. But I think this is more about the defense. They had the poor boy that we praised all off season. We talked about him, Klubnik from Clemson. A lot of people say he's the best quarterback in the country. He could not do anything. I guarantee you he struggled after the game ordering a snack wrap from McDonald's. He was so shook. I mean, he didn't know if he wanted spicy or ranch, and that's just all it boils down to. LSU had it. They had it dialed in on Saturday night in Clemson. I'm not going to call it Death Valley anymore, but impressive. Barry, your LSU Tigers, take it away.
Hey, look, man. First of all, listen. I don't know what this team is. I'm going to be honest. Because there was a lot to be desired on offense. Okay? We still got to put a lot of stuff together. We got the talent. Let me show y'all something real quick. Do you realize number 13 right there is a 6'7", 230-pound tight end? Oh, he fixing to get ready to do some damage this year. Because all we're going to do is, nothing going to throw that thing up just like that. But the biggest problem I have with this slide right here is I had two turns, which didn't show up tonight. Don't think that was a mistake. Don't think he busy. He did not want this smoke tonight. This is why Tony didn't show up. He did not want this smoke tonight. He feel like his season is ruined. I kind of feel sorry for the dude. I mean, you have to lose the first game of the season. And I don't know about y'all. When this off season in college football, dude, I was bad off. It was like dog days. The year before was a different rhythm. I feel like football came along faster. But this year, I was in terrible position. So think about Tony. Football came and it went. That fast. So I know he feels bad. But he had a problem with Brian Kelly saying, we dominated y'all. Who got a problem with that? You mean to tell me if I hold a team for 30 carries and 21 yards and shut them out in a whole half, that's not domination?
Yeah.
Is it not? That's dominating. If Alabama had done that to anybody, Tony would have said, our defense is back. We back. We got that defense. And we ain't been able to sniff a defense since probably 2020 or 2019, what it is. But that defense is ready. When you look at them Weeks boys and Perkins, ooh, I'm excited, y'all. I'm really excited. I don't know where we're going to be. But Brian Kelly and I found some hoodoos, some juju or something in that Cajun, and something that got the twisting down there in Baton Rouge. And if we can keep that up, y'all, and if Nuts can stay kind of calm, because he's a little weird, he'll throw some good things and then he'll just turn around and hand it to the other team. So I don't know what he's gonna do. So I'm not one of these that's saying LSU gonna win a nanny. But what I am saying, ooh boy, I'm liking what I'm seeing.
The good news about LSU is you're going to know a lot about them real soon. In the month of September, you'll know how good LSU is.
Very true.
I mean, you got Florida, and then you got Ole Miss. So all this month of September, I mean, Auburn plays Oklahoma, but as a front-loaded schedule goes, I mean, you got some pretty good meat coming right on the bone right off the jump here. So you'll figure out what LSU's about real quick.
Have it. What you got?
Well, once again, I got this pick wrong too. I thought Clemson was going to win, and Brian Kelly really proved me wrong. It proved all of us wrong. I'm honestly shocked that this happened. I didn't see it coming, and One thing I can say is I'm not surprised. Nussmeyer's a good quarterback. I think he'll play better as the season goes along. One thing I did notice with all the teams in Week One was most of the quarterbacks looked a little rusty in the first half. I think that has to do with not playing a preseason. So I will be patient myself with the quarterbacks. But yeah, that was those were my thoughts. And great win for LSU and Brian Kelly. I mean, that's huge. It's huge that Brian Kelly was able to pull off a win like that. Now even myself, I'm going to have to change my expectations for LSU. I didn't think they were capable of beating Clemson. I really didn't.
Well,
Coach,
that's how you know not to doubt us.
hey, Coach, I thought, honest to God, last week I thought the dumpster juice might be coming out of this game, but I'm glad it ain't. Coach, what do you got on this?
What I got on it is exactly what I've been saying. There was no way LSU was going to lose this ball game, and I picked them as the reigning Week One champ in the Pick'ems group. But I knew that LSU was going to win this game, and the reason why is the same reason that I'm sticking to. Brian Kelly was on the hot seat for not winning a season opener because no matter who you are, especially in the SEC, a Week One loss is like five losses in a row when you're battling for a national championship, knowing the schedule that you got coming up. Because look at the schedule that LSU got coming up. Imagine if they lost the game, but they won. So Week One is very important in the SEC period. So Kelly came out and done exactly what he needed to do was win that ball game. Now, do I think LSU is going to go forward and dominate like we got on there? Until I see him on a boat with Troy chasing gators yelling, through them. It ain't going to happen. Okay? Brian Kelly, you did your thing. You saved your job. But I don't see LSU going any further than what that defense can take them because your quarterback he commands he's got great command over the offense but his decisions are piss poor. He can put everybody in the right spot but he always make the wrong choice in who he goes to. And you can sit and be like, you move this guy down to the bottom, you sit him in motion, but you threw it to the dude that was up top with a safety over the top. What the hell were you thinking? You want to know why he went there? Because that was the quote unquote NFL pass that you had to make on that route. Hey, dude, go win a ball game. Worry about the NFL when you do a combine or your workout for them. But for right now, hit the guys that you put in place to be open. And until he can do that, LSU won't do much on offense. And as long as they can stay healthy on defense, they'll be in every game every week.
I take that. What you got on this, Saban?
2 points. Real quick on the whole Brian Kelly Dabo controversy, if you want to call it that. I ain't gonna try to speak for TJ, but I do kind of think I know what he meant when we were talking about it earlier. I think Dabo is a pretty nice guy. I don't think he was meaning any harm to what he said. I think if he would have used the analogy instead of a 65 and they had scored a 58, if he'd have said a 95 and we scored an 85, on the test, it would have sounded better. But I don't think he meant LSU played a 65 game because they didn't. They played a pretty good game. I think LSU, as far as LSU goes, I think they're look outside of Ohio State. That was the best looking team in football I watched this weekend. Um, I was always kind of worried that say what you want about Brian Kelly. He's I don't like the guy. I don't like anything about him, but he's always had a pretty good offense, and if this defense plays like it did in the second half a lot of this year, a lot of teams are in trouble. LSU is going to be really good if that defense plays like they did in the second half, and I think they can. But we'll see, man. I don't think a lot of us really know what our teams look like right now. I know from last year and the first game of this year, I think I got a pretty good handle on Alabama. But as far as other teams that have made improvements, you really just don't know. This it's too early to tell. But I think LSU's going to be right there at the end with everybody. Getting that playoff, getting in the playoffs.
Hey, y'all take it easy on Dabo. He went to University of Alabama. He ain't good with numbers.
I mean, I just don't understand how. I'm glad you cleared that up, Kevin, because I don't understand how you can shut out a team in a half, hold them to 20 yards rushing, and that not be dominant, and you fail the class. Okay.
I think, and I do think that Dabo, because he did say it wasn't dominant. It was in the second half. I mean, anybody that watched that second half, LSU was in control the entire half. It never felt like, the score was really close. It was a one-score game until the very end. But if you watch that game, no, I never felt like LSU was going to lose that game. They just had control of it. Clemson couldn't do anything. That was dominating. I think Dabo just kind of messed up, made some bad analogies there.
But did y'all have a problem with Brian Kelly coming back and getting some straightening?
I did. A little bit, because I don't think Brian Kelly's done an ounce of anything to talk trash about anybody, especially another coach that's won a national title or two.
But Kevin,
it's different when Brian Kelly's talking trash, when you're listening to that, or the old ball coach Steve Spurrier. When he talked trash, he backed it up on the field.
But
every
he
year.
still got a job to do.
He does.
He's got
but you can't. To me, just me personally, the way I am in my personal life. If I have several failures every single year, the first great win I have, I'm not going to be, we're dominant.
But you're not gonna let another man talk shit about you either.
I think there's different ways to handle it. I mean, you might, you don't have to.
But in this, you
don't have to come off. You don't have to come off like a complete asshat like Brian Kelly is. I mean, that's him as a person. He can't help himself.
I agree. I do agree.
If Kirby Smart said it, I'd feel completely different. He's earned it. We all know Kirby. He's true to himself. But Brian Kelly's an asshat. And the first good thing that's happened to that man in 5 years, he just overreacted to it, in my opinion.
Brian Kelly was out trying to make a sales pitch to the playoff committee that if you happen to want to put me in there, then that Clemson LSU first round playoff game might be the one that breaks the box office because we got the shit started in week 1.
That's a good point. That's a good point too, and that's his job. His job is to get LSU in the playoffs, no matter what,
right.
No matter whose feelings it hurts. That's his job. So if he feels like that's something he needs to do, then by all means do it. It's just not the way I'd handle it.
Okay, here we go. All right, we can go to top. We can go top down.
I know I said it, but I'll take it back.
I said, but I take that back. What you got, Dawson?
This one's kind of hard because I feel like we could all say the same thing on this. I don't think any of us really expected Florida State to do what we saw them do. I think I said that Alabama would take over in the late third or fourth quarter. So I know I said that, but I'll take that back because the only team that took over in the third and fourth quarter was those Florida State Seminoles. And I used to call them criminals, but you know what? I think you could probably call the Georgia Bulldogs the criminals now because we lead in arrests and tickets. So I know I said that, but I'll take that back against for the Florida State criminals.
Coach, talk to us.
Honestly, there's nothing that I can really say that I take back. I stand on everything I say.
Hey, 10 toes or 8 toes, Deion Sanders. Either way, he's standing on business.
All right, then, have it. What you got?
Man, I'm not trying to copy Steve, but FSU, I know I said that they were outmatched and outmanned and didn't have the talent or the ball players to compete with Alabama, but they really proved me wrong and they completely dominated the line of scrimmage. I was shocked at what I was watching, and I've never seen a team since A&M with Johnny Manziel run the ball down Alabama's throat the way FSU did, and to only have to throw 14 passes against Alabama is unheard of. And I guess I'd take that back about Alabama, saying all the talent that they had on defense. Maybe it'll come together. I know there's 5 stars, but they didn't play like the 5 stars that they were recruited to be.
I'll tell you right now, man, it's so great to have you back on the show, dude. I love your takes. I love the way you cover football. I said this once, I said again. You can cover this and you can do this for a living, dude. I love the way you comment on these games. What you got to say?
I take back everything I said about Beck and Miami. I thought Notre Dame was going to win that game. I thought they were more physical. Miami kind of almost looked like the Miami of old this weekend to me. They really fast, just a bunch of jerks playing football. I think they got at least 3 felons on that team, so they got a good shot at the playoffs and the Natty. But I take it back, man. I wanted Notre Dame to win that game. I'm not a Notre Dame fan, but I respect their tradition. I love their coach, but I think he got out coached in that game by a guy that I didn't think could coach.
Wow, man. These guys are being great tonight. What's up, Tuscaloosa? On fire?
I'm not going to go easy route and just say I take back what FSU and Bama stuff, because I had no idea that Alabama didn't pack the fingernail polish and the anxiety dolls on the trip to Tallahassee. Or it might have been a different outcome. So I'm going to leave that alone. I want to say I know I said it, but I take it back because I thought Belichick would have them boys ready to play. North Carolina got pants on national television. I did not see that one coming. I just didn't see it coming. I thought I looked at some of the practices. I mean, some of the stuff he was doing down there. And them boys wasn't even practicing with numbers on. Like he didn't let the press in practice. They literally everybody had the same number. You couldn't tell who the hell was going where, what's going on. I'm like, Belichick, he's playing chess in this checkers game. Wrong. I was wrong on that one.
All right. So what I'm going to tell you back is a little kind of controversial because everybody kind of sees stuff different from how I see it, which is it often happens, but in this situation, I'm a little confused. I thought Ty Simpson played pretty decent ball. But a lot of people said, let's get rid of him and go with the freshman.
Morons.
But I actually thought he looked as good or not better than a lot of the quarterbacks that played this week.
I think they asked him to pass too much.
Huh?
I think they asked him to pass too much. They should have ran the ball. I mean, they had 55 yards rushing on the first drive.
Yeah.
And abandoned the run
Completely.
game and expected him to I mean, I don't know. And then I'll be honest with you, the reply that DeBoer gave about why he abandoned the run game, to me, shows that he got outcoached. I mean, how can you say that you felt you needed to abandon the run game because you weren't getting explosive runs when you had 55 yards rushing in your first drive? You end the game under 80 yards rushing. And like I said, we've already discussed the defense, but Florida State had over 250 yards rushing.
Yeah.
I mean, my God.
That's the difference in West Coast football and Southern football.
Yeah.
And
Alabama normally they win 10 games out of 11 when the quarterback throws 23 completions for 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
And let me tell you this: if Nick Saban was on that sideline,
what would have happened last year if you could take Milroe's stats and have Ty Simpson's stats without interception? How good are Alabama? You know what I'm saying? I mean,
if Nick Saban runs the ball,
it's apples and oranges, but I'm just saying that team wins when the quarterback don't turn the ball over.
If Nick Saban runs the ball on the first drive 55 yards and the score TD, he's running the ball 48 times that game.
He wouldn't
with
pass it 40
with
times.
with a nice string tailback.
Yeah, absolutely.
Y'all have 9 tailbacks in the ball game in a
But
77 to nothing football game.
but the thing
Coach, he
about
would
it is,
run a
guys,
fumbleooski with the right tackle before he would throw the ball.
but you can't take that right there away from Ty Simpson.
No.
Ty Simpson, in my opinion, I might change this opinion, but he looked good.
Yeah.
He
He
looked
looked to
like
me
he
like
was
one
in
of about
training.
5 players in Crimson, not from Tallahassee, that came to play.
He did.
I can see his
I
effort.
agree. I agree.
He looked like he cared.
Yes.
Yeah. And a lot of people,
He had something to
a
prove.
lot of people
And-
didn't give him any credit. And I was like, why am I missing this? Because I heard all the Alabama fans go to the freshman. I'm like, damn, I actually like how he played better than us.
Yeah, let's ruin his
But
confidence
you
for
better
the
not
rest
let
of
him
his
hit the
career.
portal.
Yeah. Yeah, he
You better
looked
not let him
good.
hit the portal.
Okay.
He'll be
So
an
guys,
tiger.
I heard something. Y'all heard? I heard something.
Oh. Hey, coming from Sandstone, Virginia tonight, a load of dumpster juice has been acquired over the past. I mean, hell, it's Labor Day week, so we don't really know how many days since Saturday. But we've been loading some dumpster juice. Coach, where is it coming from tonight, and where are you loading it to?
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, we starting this thing off.
Coach, before you go, I don't know. This is some hating going on right here. There we go. Here we go. Let's do that the right way.
There we go. Well, let's do it the right way. I had to put it in the shop.
All right.
But we're gonna start this big boy off in Colorado, where I got a call that told me that 1,000 honeybees with no damn stingers stung the hell out of some buffaloes and turning them into the buffalo on the Wild Wings commercial. Them son bees wings. Worst performance ever seen out of a team that had so much hype. And not only hype, you actually done something that nobody else from Colorado has done in a while. You sent 3 players, 2 of them being your boys, off to the NFL. And by halftime, we were wondering how the hell can you find a way to slip them in a uniform, because that's the only way you're going to get back in this game. Colorado, I don't care what y'all do for the rest of the year. You can go shock the world. I don't give a rat's ass. You lost to the Georgia Tech no stinger Yellow Jackets. So just for that point alone, y'all are straight trash. Then I'm going to drive this truck on over to Columbus, Ohio, where I got a call that told me that there was a steak restaurant opening up called Sarch and Arch. And I found out that the kitchen was full of cow shit, because all y'all did was drop patties all over the field the whole night. And I'm talking about short patties. I don't know what the problem is when it comes to Texas, but it seems like y'all are the next team that can't win the big game. The hell with James Franklin two-turn. It seems like Texas can't win the big game. So for that reason alone, I'm going to haul up all this cow shit and I'm going to get it the hell out of Columbus before you stink up that whole state. So I'm telling you right now, Texas, you guys are straight trash. Now, I wasn't going to go there. So I was going to park the truck for a little while, but then Craig called me and said, the hell with that, coach, I'll pay for the gas money. So I'm going to drive this son bitch all the way to Tuscaloosa. And then after I hit Tuscaloosa, I'm going to ask them, where are the great elephants at? And they told me to go to Florida State where I would find them. And I went down there and I found them, but I found a bunch of damn Dumbos that wanted to fly around with lipstick and wings for ears, because y'all shit the bed in that ball game. That's the only reason why I took Florida State in this game. And it wasn't because I thought they would win. It's because I knew that y'all wouldn't cover the points, because your coach was going to do exactly what I figured he was going to do. I'm able to run the ball, but you know what? Let's go out here and throw it. Let me tell you something about SEC football, buddy, compared to where you were at in California. Out there, y'all on surfboards and trying to catch marlin. In this region, you got a crappie reel, and we go after largemouth bass. That means we want to fight, buddy, and you're not ready for the fight. So, due to that fact there alone, Alabama, you boys are straight trash. And for my final stop, I'm going to take this truck and I'm going to go to Chapel Hill. What was the final score of that game?
Not good.
48-14.
I think.
It was what?
I think 48-14, 49-14.
48-14.
I said what was the score in the game, not how old Bill Belichick was when the girl was born. Listen, the bottom line is you came out and in the first drive, you looked like a football team. But after that, I don't know what the hell happened to you. So this is my advice to Bill Belichick and you powder blue babies. Quit trying to treat college football like the NFL. There is no such thing as a free agent pool. You're going to have to get your bum ass up off the couch and you're going to have to go sit in some living rooms and you're going to have to win some kids over. That damn Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde face that you carry around with you everywhere you go, I wouldn't advise nobody, kid, to come play for you. I don't know what you're thinking. I mean, dudes, you actually scored a touchdown, and instead of celebrating and congratulating your kids and keeping them pumped up, you're looking for the damn referee. Why didn't he call a holding penalty 2 plays before that? So the bottom line is this. In the ACC, we'll only have to worry about you in Chapel Hill when it comes to basketball season. Because from week 1 to the very last week of the season, from what I've seen out of you guys, y'all are going to continue to be straight trash.
That's what I'm talking about right now.
Hey, we knew Coach would come with some absolute heat, no matter where he was coming from tonight. And the word on the street is he drove 24 hours to get to Virginia. So he had who knows, he might have a Tesla in auto drive mode and could sleep on the way there. But, hey, what fire from Coach Price tonight and the dumpster juice. We don't want to see any of our teams in next week's dumpster juice, especially with this week, because obviously we don't see any big games this week. Only one big game, in my opinion, and it's the number 5 on this list. But, guys, this week we've got Iowa at number 16, Iowa State. That's a big rivalry. We've already seen Iowa State this season in week 0. They beat Kansas State in Ireland, I believe. Looked pretty good. So, number 2, number 20, Ole Miss at Kentucky. You know, some people would say this is a trap game. I don't know if it is, but I put it on the board just for that. Hey, you came a little late here, Tony. Number 3.
Hey, Daddy's back. That's all that matters. Daddy is here, and I'm ready for whatever.
USF at number 13, Florida. And the reason I put this game on here, guys, I think this game is way more intriguing than what people are saying it is. I mean, USF looked great on Thursday or Friday night, whenever they played. They beat the brakes off Boise State. And honestly, Boise State had the same team except Ashton Jeanty. So, interesting at Florida this weekend. But number 12, Arizona State at Mississippi State. And then number 15, Michigan at number 18, Oklahoma. To me, that's the game of the week. Easy. I'm sure that game day will probably be there. First time without Lee Corso. Going to be weird. Going to be different. But, hey, Coach, what do you say so far on these top 5 games?
Well, Iowa State is always going to be a quote rivalry. You never know what's going to happen. Somewhere along the line, it's going to be some dirty play, and it's going to be some penalties that's going to take one of them out the ball game. But I'm going with Iowa State in this, just because they are on the uprise as a program compared to what Iowa is. Ole Miss, Kentucky. I'm going to take Ole Miss. I don't give a rat's ass about Kentucky. Y'all couldn't even cover the spread for me in a dead gun against Toledo, which would have gave me another victory. So I don't care what Kentucky does. It ain't gonna never be good enough. Give me Ole Miss. As far as the Florida game, Florida is trying to make a statement. They need to make them a little statement so they can save their coach's job. So give me Florida in that game. As far as Arizona State and Mississippi State, I feel the exact same way about Mississippi State that I feel about Kentucky. You cost me another damn loss because you didn't cover the dead gummits. So I don't care what Mississippi State does. Give me Arizona State in this ball game. And as far as Michigan and Oklahoma, this is going to be a shocker to you. Michigan, Oklahoma. I'm taking Oklahoma in this game. Reason why I'm taking Oklahoma in this game is because if Oklahoma wins this game and they turn around and it's for them to play Bama again, it's going to mean a whole lot more. And this will be the game that when everybody is looking at a Oklahoma being favored over Alabama, then we'll see DeBoer get a little bit of the SEC nuts about itself, and we'll watch Alabama come out victorious. So look for that Oklahoma-Michigan game to be a game won by Oklahoma to set up a big game later on in the season between Oklahoma and Alabama.
Hey, Tony, I'm going to throw it to you, but I'm also give you a 2.5 minute, whatever you want to say. We had it on the show. And you showed up a little late, so 2.5 minutes. Anything you want to say?
Yeah,
and then go game of the week.
Before you go, I just want to say one thing. Next time we're gonna leave your ass backstage and you can't get here on time.
Hey! Some of us got a job that I sent that I have to do every Wednesday. So it's either this or get the boot, and I guess I show up late. Anyways, no, piss poor altogether. I do see a lot of overreactions on the internet, which is valid. I mean, Alabama fans are psycho in general, but you got people that literally couldn't name our defensive linemen trying to say something about football, and that's what pisses me off the most. You can't even name our starting defensive end, and you want to have an input on what this team should do with a coach or player. I'm a Kane Womack fan, and I don't know why, because he's really starting to piss me off. Because you've seen the flashes last year. I mean, Georgia, and I'm not a Beck fan, but Beck is an above-average quarterback. He's on the brink of could be an elite quarterback. Nuss is an elite quarterback. You've seen Alabama's defense do great things against those guys a year ago with true freshmen on the freaking field and no depth. And then all summer, all I hear is we're in such a better spot this year than we was last year. We have so much depth. We got so much returning. Pro Football Focus posts about how Alabama is the only team in the country with a top 10 player at every position on defense. And what's our defense do? They go out there and they lay an elephant-sized egg filled with crap. And it's not just on the players, because when I watch the game, I mean, a high school coach could figure this out. If you're playing a running quarterback who, I don't think he's a horrible passer, but he struggles to throw under pressure if you watch any of his tape. Why are you sending 3 linemen and sitting back in zone? I can understand if this is 2015 and you got Jonathan Allen, Ashawn Robinson, and Tim Williams on your D-line where you know you're going to get pressure. After the first 3 plays, we should have realized, hey, we're not getting back there with just 3. So you man up, you send 5 or 6 every play, and if Castellanos can throw the ball 40 yards one-on-one and their receivers can make plays, he can make great throws, so be it. Why do you wait till you're down 17 in the third quarter to start doing this? And we got stops outside of the idiotic penalty, which is directly on coaching. I think DeBoer is a great coach. I think he's the right guy to have a chance to turn Bama to where it needs to be post-Saban. But stuff like that's inexcusable. You can't sit there and just keep saying, oh, we can't have a bonehead penalty. This dates back to last year at Tennessee. Kendrick Law has a horrible penalty in a key situation where we're down one possession to win the game. And you have that, and then, oh, well, you make the excuse then. You don't make the excuse again the next year where it's the first game, and you not only hit the guy out of bounds one time that propels him to win the scoring drive. So that's 7 points. Then you do it again when you had all the momentum. Bama scored back-to-back drives. You have a momentum. You're down 7, about to get the ball back with 8 minutes left in the game. And I honestly believe the offense would have went down and scored. But you shoot yourself in the foot. You can't do that kind of thing in the SEC, for one. And you got to be able to adjust. That's what makes Kirby Smart the best coach in college football year after year. You can be up 20 at half. And no matter what momentum you got, he's going to have a game plan in the second where you have to think. You got to change what you're doing. It doesn't matter what was working in the first half. You might have a good idea, and you come out in the third quarter thinking you're going to run the same stuff. Yeah, newsflash, bozo, you're not. Because Kirby's going to shut it down. Next thing you know, 3 drives in, Georgia's done made this a 10-point game with 4 minutes left in the third quarter. Like, you got to be able to adjust, and that's where I think that's a coaching staff thing where whether it's, them not being around each other enough or not being in that kind of game situation enough, that they got to adapt. So, obviously, we got a huge hill to climb. There's a lot of work to do over the next 3 weeks before you get to Georgia. If that game is not competitive, where we either get a win or it's a close game, it's going to get 100 times worse when it comes to these fans. It's got to be competitive. You can't go to Athens and get blown out, because it's no secret that we've struggled on the road under the Boer. We play great at home. We're undefeated under him. But it's no secret we suck on the road. Outside, not taking a shot at Barry, outside of the LSU game, we played like crap on the road every game last year. Every game. LSU, we beat the brakes off them at their place. But I don't know if that was just a ego check thing where it was like, I don't know. I'm saying that was luck at this point. It was luck that we went in and beat LSU like we did. So
we ain't talking about fouls
on the road
today.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we do until we can prove it. I'm out on it. I am going to obviously watch the games over the next 2 weeks. We should win handedly. There should be guys flying around the field trying to prove that they're not just these lazy people that everyone's saying. And then you get a bye week to hopefully get these guys back and go into Georgia with a chip on your shoulder. So we'll see. And we also forget Georgia's got Tennessee the game before Alabama. I believe Georgia wins that game, but you never know if that game looks sloppy or somehow Tennessee they're not going to get lucky. I'm just throwing it out there. Georgia's going to beat Tennessee because Hupel can't beat them, or Heupel, whatever the heck you want to call
them. And they're going to beat y'all too.
That's fine. You said that last year. But let's go back. That's all I got to say on Alabama.
Hold on before you go. You said some things. We're going to respond to it. Okay? Are you said that the fans going to get a little bit more crazy as he don't have a close game against Georgia? What do you mean by that?
If it's not competitive, there are already people calling for his job. If we get blown out by Georgia, who's arguably they're not our biggest rival. They're not a rival. But when you look at the past 10 years, the team that it goes to, the two teams to determine who's going to play for the national championship in the SEC, it's Alabama or Georgia. So it's turned into a rivalry.
Then why is that a problem to lose to Georgia?
It's not a problem if you lose a competitive game. This is like Kirby. Kirby's lost to Alabama how many times? He's like 1-7, I think. It doesn't matter. No one sits there and goes.
So say Georgia blow y'all out. What happened?
No, the fan base is going to go nuts. In my personal opinion, no matter what happens this year, the Boer's job is safe, and that's the way it should be. I've always said that no matter who the coach is, and Coach Price was talking about Napier just a minute ago. You got to give, no matter who the coach is, a minimum of 3 years. That third year is the year you're supposed to see with not only their players, their full system of what it should look like. Like I told you before the season, this year you should start seeing kind of what the offense should look like. Next year, his quarterback will play like I said, and this is not Ty. I think Ty's fine, but the Boer's type of quarterback is a true freshman right now. Ty's fitting the system, and I think he can.
Oh, you mean somebody that can actually play and make him look good, and he can have success and get a $70 million contract?
Well, every single coach is going to look good because of players, Barry. I mean, if you recruit
here's
players,
one thing I will tell you where I think you're wrong. Okay, it sounds good what you're saying. Talk about this third year opportunity and all of that. It does matter what he does the rest of the year.
I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm saying it matters as far as the outrage, but I'm saying he's not getting fired this year. Like, that's out the window.
Fired this year.
Hey,
Alabama can't afford to pay him $9 million.
He can get fired this year. Can he not, Kevin? Can he not get fired?
No, he can't.
Listen, let me say this real quick.
They can break that up into 5 years, but
let me tell you why. if Alabama does that, if Alabama's stupid enough to do that, you put your university in a way worse situation than you could have ever put it in. Because not only are you starting over yet again, you're turning into a Jimbo Fisher situation where you're a laughingstock. You're paying. Honestly, you're turning into an Auburn situation where when they got rid of Malzahn and you hired freaking Harsin, like you're turning into a laughingstock at that time because you shouldn't have done what you did.
Well,
Like,
I agree with you.
But it's better to eat it. It's better to eat it. Look and deal with it and see what the guy has. Because like I said, Billy Napier, everybody wanted to fire him last year. And I'm sitting there, you can't fire them. They look better than what they did. Billy, and I'm going to say this about Florida. They're in a better place right now than they have been ever since Urban Meyer left. Ever since. Despite Dan Mullen having his little 8-win SEC championship.
All that sound good.
Do what now?
All that sound good, but this is the one thing I know for a fact. At the University of Alabama, you can win 10 ball games and lose to Auburn, and they'll fire your ass.
I mean, that's in general. It's just like Auburn's the same way.
They
dominate that game. If you're winning SEC championships and national championships and losing to Auburn, you're good.
Yeah, he's beat Auburn. But they're not going to fire him after one loss to Auburn. Is what I'm saying. He's beat them once. He's not going to lose one game.
Because as a fan, we won a national title after losing to Auburn, and I didn't ever think about that Auburn loss. I thought about that national title. I didn't give a damn if we lost to Auburn.
I was at that game, and I'll never go back to the year because of it.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
I'm talking about your
I only have one little bit of pushback on the 3-year thing for DeBoer.
So look, this is my opinion for any school. It's not just Alabama. Because this is my thought process. This is me being a coach in general. Obviously, I'm not a coach at that level, but I think that's any system in any sport. You got to give a guy time to not only get his players in, but implement his system. We forget that DeBoer only had 6 months before his first season when he came in to not only retain the roster that was barely intact when Saban retired, retain the recruiting class, hire a full coaching staff because he lost everybody too. I mean, Georgia stole our best recruiter.
How much they paying you?
I mean, I agree.
How much they paying you to be an apologist for?
I'm not apologizing. I'm saying,
Tony, I agree.
If next year, this is my point. If Alabama, I think they'll get it together. Like I said, I never expected them to win a national championship this year. I did expect the playoff. I still do. But playing like that, they won't. But
I get it.
At the end of the day, next year, that third year, if Alabama's still losing games to teams you're favored by 2 touchdowns over and unranked teams, then you start talking, okay, the program's not getting better. It's staying the same. I don't see anywhere for improvement. I don't think this guy can get it done. But if you're seeing continuous improvement throughout a season, especially when he's got his guys in that third year, where he's got his quarterback that is his type of quarterback, and then he's already got his receivers. Ryan Williams will be a junior next year. He's got some great receivers that he recruited that came in that are getting playing time now. Like, that's when you truly judge the guy. If Alabama looks like crap again, then, yeah, you talk about getting rid of him, and you probably fire him after the third year. That's me. That's anywhere. That's why I was never saying fire Napier, because not only was they terrible when he got there, people don't realize how bad of a place Florida was as far as a job. Like,
What are you saying, Kevin, about this?
They had a terrible schedule. Even now, Florida's this year, their schedule's horrible. If they win 9 games, they should give him a freaking raise.
You said you agree with him in spirit.
Well, in spirit, I mean, I've always said the same thing. You can ask Craig, you give a coach. I always used to say 5 years. So that's a full 4 years of recruiting. And that 5th year, every player on that team is yours. Problem is we don't really know how different the landscape is now. You bring in the right coach with the right donors, and the right coach can flip an entire roster in one offseason. You can go from a 2-10 Florida State to possibly, hell, who knows, an ACC champion, and you're beating Alabama the next year. So
this is the problem with that, though, with Alabama. We don't have the donors to get that type of money, and that's just being. Look, I love Alabama. Alabama's a poverty state. We know this. There's not many doctors and lawyers that are billionaires coming out of Alabama. It's just the truth. They're not.
I know a billionaire family right now that I grew up with that I know puts money in it. I know an
That's what I'm not
NFL
saying there's not
veteran
any.
whose
I'm
son
not
went
saying there's
there
not any, but
and
I'm
put
saying there's
money
not.
in it.
Look, okay,
I
Coach
think
Ross, let's take this for example. It's not a coincidence that all of a sudden, once you start being able to pay players, that Michigan went from crap to contending for national titles and getting 5-star recruits.
Notre Dame as well.
Then why ain't
and
Texas
look,
win the
can
championship?
I just
Why
Listen,
ain't Texas
but
win the
what I'm saying, no, what I'm saying is schools like Michigan and Ohio State, they have way more donors that are on that status that can afford to donate,
but
where their NIL is more. Alabama doesn't have that.
add a little to that? I think Alabama probably does. If this was 2007 and Alabama hadn't won since Paul Bear Bryant, the donors would pony up, the fan base would pony up. Complacency has killed Alabama right now. We've
The only
won
thing,
for 15 years, 6, 7 national titles. So me personally as a fan, I'm not giving a dime to anybody's NIL. Period. But if I go 10 years without seeing Alabama win a natty, I might donate a little money. You know. So
but my thing is, look, I mean, revenue, and this goes for Georgia too. The new rule with revenue sharing saved schools like Alabama and Georgia when it comes to being able to pay players more. The new revenue sharing, which is equal across the board, that's what I agree with. I think it's $20 million revenue sharing is allowed for every team. That should be the same thing for NIL. There should be a salary cap for NIL because look, it is more of a level playing field. It's more of a level playing field across the country, which is great for college football.
But I can't stand to hear y'all say that.
What?
Because for all of these years, who get the best players? A handful of teams.
No, but back then,
you want to cap the money, but you don't want to cap the talent.
No. The difference is back then when that wasn't money, you had to be a great coach and recruiter. That's a skill, being a good recruiter. It's not a skill to be the Texas Tech head coach who literally came out and said, these guys better treat their players right because if they're playing, listen though, this is where it messes up. Anybody can pay somebody. If I'm the Texas Tech head coach, literally came out and said, out like these teams like Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, big time schools, if they're not willing to pay their backups, if they're paying their backups $100,000, we'll pay them $300,000. That's literally the quote that he said. Like that's not good for football. You shouldn't go somewhere. Which as a player, I would. If someone offered me $500,000,
why isn't it good for football?
Because it's putting like what you're saying. You're talking about a handful of teams. The whole reason we wanted NIL, and you said it yourself, was because you wanted more parity in football.
Yeah,
it's there right now. But 5 years from now, if it stays the way it is, it's not going to be parity. It's going to go right back to how it was pre-NIL.
It's going to be worse.
There's 5 or 6 teams that are getting all the talent because they can pay them. It's going to be the same thing 5 years from now as it was before.
Anything about it before until start getting paid.
Let me say this, Barry. One thing that I will agree on with TJ on this, right? Before NIL, right? Here's the difference between Alabama then and now. Okay, Alabama then, you went to Alabama regardless if you were an Alabama fan growing up because you knew you could win a national title, an SEC title, and you could go to the NFL. But here's the difference now. The reason Georgia is getting lucky, because I don't think that – does Georgia have a lot of money to pay players? Yes, they do. I'm sure they do.
But they don't.
But are they paying players?
But they don't have what Texas has.
They don't have A&M money. They don't have Texas. They don't have a lot of these stores. Here's why they're winning, right? People want to go play for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Kirby.
Georgia is a big school or a big state. I mean, there's a lot of great athletes that play in the state of Georgia. And here's the thing. They can also recruit from Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina, and Florida because those Florida kids, here's what they think about. They don't really care about, I can say this, like out of all the guys that worked for me in Florida that were in high school, they didn't have favorite teams. They thought of teams that were cool and, hey, this coach is cool and this team's got cool uniforms. They don't care. They have no allegiance to anybody.
Well, it's also,
so
Dalton,
if they go to Georgia and win a national title and go to the NFL, that's all they care about.
Well, that's what I'm about to say, but it's because they grew up in the kids now in Florida, their whole childhood, the Florida teams were terrible.
Yeah.
The kids so I get why they don't want to stay.
But
And
if
in
Texas,
Georgia now, the kids growing up in Georgia.
Texas have the money.
Do what?
Okay, Texas got the money, you saying, right?
Yep.
Okay. When the last time Texas won a national championship?
Texas, that's what I'm saying, though, Barry. Look, before NIL, when's the last time Texas was in contention for even a conference title or playoff spot? When was the last time?
But at some point, right
after that,
not say, but okay, with them having the golden child, right now Texas got the golden child, right? He got the golden child. We know how much money they got, and we know how much money Texas got. Yeah. At some point, though, you got to put your damn feet on them cleats on the grass.
I agree, but that's what I'm saying, though, Barry. It's not a coincidence that Texas was absolute crap. And as soon as that hammer swung down for NIL, then 2 years later, they're one play away from playing for the national championship.
But you know what? I really can't say, though, guys. Can y'all not say this? I mean, if you could put your Alabama pride to the side for a second. Can you not say that football is better today than it's been in a long time?
Overall,
I love college football right now more than I ever loved college football.
Yes, right now.
For the football, not the politics.
I agree that it's better to watch game by game now than it has been. But that's because it's still early. I'm telling you, 5 years from now, that won't be the case unless they get a salary cap on this NIL. Because then
people don't like my NIL view.
No, I agree.
My NIL view
it's never going to happen, but I agree. I think
unless you're a junior or a senior, you don't even qualify. And if you happen to accept NIL, you can't enter the transfer portal. Now you're going to go to a university and you're going to play for that university, or you're just going to ride it out for the money and ain't going to never do nothing at that university. But there's no cap and there's no rule on it. I can get a $2 million Bojangles NIL right now to go play for shorter and can turn around and hit the transfer portal and can go play some at Reinhardt with a McDonald's NIL. It don't matter. You're not giving the kids any reason to stay other than money.
Yeah,
you're never going to get anywhere.
The only thing that really makes me mad, and I believe wholeheartedly should happen with this stuff, outside of the salary cap, I think that's a given. I think everyone agrees that should be a thing because it keeps, like I said, it keeps from getting back to what y'all are complaining about the same schools being with all the talent. Because if you can pay the kids that much, you're going to get them. But I truly believe that if you go to a school, because right now if I say I'm paying you $2 million, I can't turn around and not pay you $2 million. I have to pay it, no matter if you get hurt the first game of the year. Mm-hmm. I believe if a kid decides he wants to leave, he should be allowed to leave. I agree. I used to not be that way. I believe they should be able to leave without penalty one time. But they should have to pay however many months are left on that contract. Let's say I sign a contract for a year. It should be year by year in college football, in my opinion, because you have the chance to leave after that year. It should be year by year. Let's say I played the 8 months, and now this 9th month comes around, and I want to leave. I should have to pay back those remaining 3 to 4 months of NIL to the people who paid me because I'm violating my contract. It's just like me as a teacher. Right now, if I decided if Rockmart High School needed a basketball coach and they decided they wanted to hire me right now, my school could block that contract, could block that from happening unless Rockmart decided they were going to pay what's left of my contract off to hire me as their head coach right now. I believe that should be the same way. It should either be they have to pay it back or the university that they're transferring to has to pay it back. Either way, I believe that's the best scenario.
I'm going to open up a recruiting agency just for NIL, and I'm going to call it the Steve Miller Agency. Let's just take the money and run.
The NFL should be forced to allow 18-year-olds to enter the draft, and we can stop paying college players again, period.
Yeah.
Let the ones that want to actually go to school, and let the ones that want to go straight from high school to the NFL go get their brains beat in.
Period. I mean, I don't have no problem with that, honestly. I mean, I do think that Kids should not
That's
have
child
to go to college.
abuse.
They don't want to go to college. They want to go play ball. Let them play a ball. But if
That's
you
child
did that,
abuse.
I agree with a lot of you just said. I am coming back towards y'all a little bit on NIL, but not to the point to where people don't want to reward talent. Okay, I would like to see a little bit more consistency with the teams and people not hopping all over the place. But damn, guys, let's think about it like this. Say you got a school, that got 2 good quarterbacks. Don't you want another school to have a quarterback? Let them jump in the portal and make football more competitive.
The problem is
he can jump in the portal. He can jump in the portal, but don't go jump in the portal after we done paid you $2 million in NIL and you riding the bench.
It's free agency without any rules.
Yeah,
I mean, it's utter chaos right now, right? So
exactly
that brings my point. The only pushback I had on two-turn about the board thing taking over, the times have changed. This whole getting your university that we were talking about coaching contracts earlier in the episode, they got to be changed. I mean, you ain't going to have 3 or 5 years to build these teams anymore. And the only pushback I have on the board is it's not like Saban left the cupboard bare. I mean, that was a playoff. Most of the time, if you come into a situation like that, it's a shit situation. Napier came into a bad situation.
No, DeVore had talent. I agree. He came in and he had a great situation.
I think that kind of put up the sped things up a little bit for him, and just the sign of the times. I don't know how are they going to keep paying these coaches for 7, 8, 9, 10-year deals? I don't know how.
If they would have hired Lane Kiffin, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Well, Lane Kiffin burnt so many bridges in Tuscaloosa. He has zero chance of ever getting that job, Barry. And I would love to have Lane Kiffin. In general, I would have loved to have Lane Kiffin.
You sleep with one booster's wife and it ruins your career. It's just not really fair.
But no, I'm with Craig on that. But look. I agree. He brought in a lot. He came into a lot of talent, but this is my thing. This is what really makes me mad when we use this argument about how good of the situation was. Yes, it was good. It had a good foundation. Saban's still there, a part of the program, but at the same time, Alabama lost 30 guys, and it wasn't just 30 guys that didn't play. I mean, everybody on Alabama's defense that played in the actual games is starting at other places right now. Kristen Story went to Kentucky. Caleb Downs went to Ohio State. Trey Amos is all SEC corner at Ole Miss. Kobe Prentice is playing receiver for Baylor right now. Kendrick Law's at Kentucky. I mean, dude, they lost every single starter.
You just said one thing, Tony.
Other than Malachi Moore.
It's not going to make any friends for me as an Alabama fan. Nick Saban being around that program, probably not the best thing in the world for Alabama.
No, I agree too. That's what sucks for the board too.
Hold on. What'd you say? What you saying?
It's probably
Nick Saban still got an office on campus
in the stadium.
There's no way that shadow doesn't loom over that entire program every single day.
I don't disagree with that neither.
Nick Saban is he's sort of like a narcissist. He is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
you can't be that. You can't be
successful. No, I'm not disagreeing. I made the face because I'm like every good football coach or sports coach is a narcissist. I'll say that right now.
All I'm saying is that part could be, and you have alluded to it. I've heard other Bama fans allude to it. Kevin alluded to it. Part of this issue is probably, it's such a dynamic situation when you consider Nick Saban. Nick Saban, what he should have done is cut it off. Period. Go.
Hey, don't let Barry fool you about that narcissist stuff. I coached girls basketball with that man right there, and when we didn't lose, there wasn't no ego bigger than Barry's. Well, nobody gonna talk shit.
Hey, one thing I would tell you is we didn't hardly lose it all, did we?
This is what sucks about it with the Saban thing. Like, it's one of those you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If Saban would have left the program complete, you're still having these same conversations. And look, that's where I do give DeBoer the most credit. Like, nobody, if we're being real about it, nobody wanted this job. Like, we wanted Dan Lanning. That was our first choice. Dan Lanning was scared. A word I can't say on this right now. He was scared to death. He ran because he's got it made. DeBoer had it made at Washington. DeBoer let that thing swing and said, you know what? I think with my coaching, with the way I believe in my system has worked everywhere, I think I can continue this. And that's where I give him most credit. He's stressed right now. I get it. He should be. But I truly believe if he's given the time that he'll be great. I don't think, like I said, there's never going to be a time in the history of college football. Listen, ever again, it doesn't matter what era, there's never going to be a coach ever again, especially in today's world, that goes to a national, not wins one, but goes to a national championship every 3 years for 18 years.
Tony,
there was years we
it's
played
not
for
about that. It's not about that.
I know it's not, but to Alabama,
it's about having a team that plays with a little freaking spirit.
But
even as an Alabama hater, a master troller of Bama, I can look at that team and say, "What the hell? Y'all ain't even giving me nothing to troll."
Yes, but that doesn't matter to our fans, though. It doesn't going out and being a team and playing hard. That doesn't satisfy our fan base. It just doesn't. If you're not competing for national championships, you're screwed because of the standard that that Bear Bryant set, and then up until Nick Saban came in and he set. It doesn't matter how you can go out there and they could be playing as hard as they can. If they get thumped by 30 or they get beat on a last-second field goal, the world falls apart. I mean, Gary, how many times do we see? How many times do we see a Nick Saban team lose at the last second, and we act like it was just the worst coaching game of his career? Tennessee, we blocked the damn field goal. We blocked the field goal, and it went in for them to win. And Nick Saban's lost it. This is the most penalties that they've had in 15 years. This Alabama team's it's going off the railroad tracks. Nick Saban's got to go.
But that's the cost. That's the price you pay.
I agree, and that's what's carrying over DeBoer right now. And he's never going to be that. If DeBoer can get to where Alabama's competing for playoff spots, and you win one national championship in 6 or 7 years, that's great. I don't care what anybody says. It's great if you win a national championship.
If it doesn't happen this year, by the end of next year, y'all gonna have a new coach.
If he doesn't step up and the team doesn't look the way his teams are supposed to look next year, I agree. But like I said, I trust the guy. I think he's as genuine as a guy you'll meet, and I do think he has that fire. I don't like the people saying that, he doesn't show emotion. Bill Belichick's won how many Super Bowls? He ain't showed an emotion in 36 years.
He had Tom Brady.
I'm just saying. He still didn't show any emotion before Tom. He never has. Like, every coach has a different style.
Let me ask you this, Tony.
Pete Carroll. Show me Pete Carroll acting a fool on the sideline.
We're going to finish this slide, but listen. What has Bill Belichick did since he lost Tom Brady?
I didn't say he hasn't. But
I'm just asking you.
I'm just using that as an example of people that don't show emotion.
I know, but you can be emotionless. I agree. You can still be something. But you just spent the last 5 minutes talking about what Alabama is. And this is the one thing that I can actually say, and with all honesty, unbiased. Alabama is different from everything else.
Yeah.
That's why we overreacted. That's why we saying all the things that we saying.
And it's
That's
warranted.
why $70 million doesn't matter.
It's an overreaction.
Only reason the buyout matters is they have not identified the guy that they believe that can right the ship. The moment they do that, Debo ass is out.
Look, it is an overreaction, but then again, it's not. Like I said, I don't blame people for acting crazy. I just get irritated with people who don't know the game and don't know anything that try to tell university what they should like. You never played football. You don't know anyone who's on the team. Like you're saying, take the quarterback out. And you don't even know who the backups are. Like, who we bringing in? Like, we got so accustomed to having first round quarterbacks that are just phenomenal that it's like, I don't think people realize
you ain't got no phenomenal quarterbacks.
That's what I'm in college and getting drafted. We had a run. There's never been a coach that had a run like Nick Saban with elite quarterbacks. He didn't miss for like 10 years. Like, that's insane. He didn't miss on a quarterback at all. From A.J. McCarron all the way until Bryce Young, he didn't miss. Even with Blake Sims, he didn't miss.
Missed on Jalen Milroe.
Only one of them done something in that field.
No, he didn't miss on Jalen Milroe because Jalen Milroe, the first year as a starter, went undefeated in the SEC and was one play away from a national championship. So despite what he played like last year, Nick Saban still didn't miss with him. We won 12 games. Like, Nick Saban that should be the biggest crown on his head. What he done with Jalen Milroe, because Jalen Milroe will never be.
You're not gonna mess with Jalen Milroe. All you gotta do is look at him and then see him run. And you act like he not
the Seahawks think something of him.
That sounds great, but if Jalen Milroe just plays how he does against Georgia and LSU against anyone else, he looks like a freaking number 1 overall pick. He just happened to every time he played Georgia and LSU, he had his best game, and those are the best 2 teams he played. I mean, it's one of them crazy things. It's where the talent doesn't meet the expectation, but that, like I said, it is what it is. Alabama deserves overreactions, but I'm gonna go to these picks. I'm picking Iowa to upset Iowa State, simply because I don't think Iowa State's very good. I don't think they are truly a ranked team. I just think it was all hype. I don't think they're very good. I don't think Iowa's very good. I'm gonna go with the upset. Ole Miss, despite losing to Kentucky, it's about time for Stoops to get fired from Kentucky. So Ole Miss big, they get revenge. I do think South Florida plays very hard. I think their coach is a hungry guy. They got a good quarterback, but I don't think they're good enough schematically for Florida. I think Florida has one of the best young defensive coordinators in the country. He was hired at Alabama as a linebackers coach, and I thought whenever buddy we got from Auburn, I'm having a mind blank right now, the defense coordinator we had from Auburn that retired when Saban retired, I thought he was going to take over for him afterwards, but Florida seen the potential and offered him the DC spot off a rip. So within the next 5 years, that guy's going to be, you're going to be hearing not Kirby Smart status as far as a defensive coordinator, but one of those elite type defensive coordinators. So I think Florida is in a better place than they've been since Urban Meyer, and I think they actually have a chance to make noise this year as long as Lagway stays healthy. I think they got a great line, a great running back, good receivers, and a really good defense. And I hate saying that because I'm not a Florida fan. I hate Florida, but that's just where I'm at with it. Arizona State beats Mississippi State. I think it'll be a better game than people portray. I think the quarterback for Arizona State isn't as good as people say as far as like draft stock wise. I do think he's a really good college quarterback. And number 5, I'm also going with Oklahoma with Coach Price simply because you got a true freshman quarterback against somebody who is a top 5 defensive coordinator in the country as a head coach at Brent Venables. And Brent Venables will put that guy in situations to where he's not going to be successful.
Can I get a dub on that Iowa State game?
Why would I do that?
You just said that Iowa's not good and they ranked 16. So
Derek, I just said I don't think either one of them are any good. I'm
so
picking
you
Iowa.
won't give me no dub on it?
No, I'm picking an upset pick. Why would I bet $100 on a team that's probably? I bet what's the spread? Like 18, probably.
I don't know. You picked them.
I'm just picking them because I watched Iowa State play and they're not very good. I don't know. I haven't watched Iowa play. I'm just.
But go watch the spread. Go see the spread. Let's save it.
It's only 3.5, Tony. 3.5.
What you got, Saban?
Really?
Yeah. What is it?
It's only 3.5. That's actually that's interesting. That's interesting.
What you got, Saban?
Ohio.
I think Mateer for Oklahoma. I think he's really good. So I think Oklahoma is going to be better than people expect. I don't know how good they'll be because I just don't think Michigan's like Michigan. Yeah, he looked good. Underwood looked good against Southwest Valley State of the Blind this past week, but he's playing a real coordinator with a legit defense. Even though Oklahoma's offense wasn't very good last year, their defense was good all year.
Wait till you hear what he say about Ty Simpson and the Roll Tide over the next 2 weeks.
What am I going to say about Ty? I told you I don't think Ty's a great quarterback. I don't think he's a bad one. I think he's right there above average and a game manager. He's got NFL talent, but he doesn't have experience. That's why I told you I was hoping. My thought process was this team was supposed to be like the 21 Georgia team, where the offense struggled the first 4 or 5 games, but the defense was good enough to keep them afloat until the offense caught stride. That wasn't the case. The defense laid an egg. I think the offense will catch stride over the next 2 to 3 games. But if the defense don't, it don't matter. This ain't the Pac-12. You can't win giving up 40.
What you got, Saban?
When it comes to Iowa and Iowa State, the only thing I really care about is when I go to the grocery store, if they got corn, they're doing their job. If not, whatever. I don't know either one of these teams. I got no interest in watching this game. I'm going to go with Iowa State just because it ranked higher. But it does not matter one iota to me. Ole Miss, that's going to be a blowout. They're going to just manhandle Kentucky.
Ooh.
Florida, I don't think that game's going to be close. I think that team's ready to play some ball this year.
Careful.
I'll take Arizona State over Mississippi State. Michigan, I'm going to take Michigan over Oklahoma.
Okay, Craig.
I got Iowa State. I'm with Kevin. I don't really know much about either team other than like I said, just send me some corn. Got Ole Miss, big at Kentucky. Got Florida winning at home. The next one is a little detail. I'm going out on a limb here, and I might be totally crazy, but I think Arizona State, first of all, traveling from the West Coast, it's a night game. Traveling from the West Coast is hard. It's going to be hotter than 7 hells in Mississippi, as you're aware. And the awful cowbells are going to be ringing in the ears all night. And now, on top of that, so Dillingham has given all the meemaws and the pawpaws in the state of Mississippi some ammunition by saying there's nowhere for the team to stay in Mississippi that's not a casino that has good food. That's some bulletin board material for people from Mississippi, buddy. And you know, Mississippi State don't have that in the house. That's a bunch of homeboys down there.
Now, see, for whatever reason, Craig did his homework on this game because if I'd have heard that, I'd have picked Mississippi State.
Yeah, I got Mississippi State on that one. And then I got Oklahoma. I'm a two-turn on that one. Venables is good. Oklahoma, they don't need to grow a defense. They had one. Oklahoma's going to be a good team this year. I think they beat Michigan.
Well, hey, I got to say something real quick. Not so fast to a bunch of you. Let me just walk you through some stats right here, okay? Iowa State, they've got a ranked win, and I don't think any of these teams on this board have a ranked win, but Iowa State does. And it was in Ireland. These boys went, 14 hours on a plane ride to go play a football
they're
game?
They're 2-0 after the end of week 1. How the hell did that happen?
They won the game. Number 2, go back to the slide, Barry. Number 2, this game right here, Ole Miss and Kentucky. I agree with you. Ole Miss big. They're going to wipe the floor with Kentucky. It's going to be a revenge game. Whoever said that, I agree. Number 3, this is where I'll start to shock you boys. USF, the Bulls are coming to town, and they are going to run all over the Florida Gators, and it will be the shock of the weekend. You can put it down. Call your bookie at the nearest gas station because this will win you money this weekend.
I'm going to put everything I got on this game.
Hey, real quick, Dalton, I want to correct you two on 2 things also. So, yes, this is why I hate the preseason rankings and stuff because, yes, if we're being technical, Iowa State does have a ranked win.
They do.
Kansas State is god-awful. They're not ranked anymore, so in my opinion, that shouldn't be counted as a ranked win. They just beat North Dakota. It took a last-second touchdown to beat North Dakota this past week for Kansas State, and that's why I was saying that I don't believe in Iowa State. And I had one more thing I meant to say to Coach Price because I forgot because we was bringing up Oklahoma playing Alabama. Do we forget Oklahoma's schedule just to get to Alabama? Like, they shouldn't even be worried about Alabama. They beat us. They got momentum. They don't even have to think about us right now. Oklahoma's got Michigan this weekend. In 2 weeks, they got Auburn. 2 weeks after that, they play Texas, and then they play South Carolina back to back.
Woo!
And then they play Ole Miss the next week.
They done.
Then they play Tennessee the next week.
They ain't gonna get through that.
Then they got Alabama. So they ain't got to worry about Alabama right now. They got a whole mess.
Welcome to the SEC, Oklahoma.
There's one game left off of here I do want to throw out here real quick that I believe is going to be the game of the week that no one's talking about. Kansas versus Missouri. The quarterback for Kansas is a baller. I love him. He comes out. I mean, dude, he doesn't talk no junk. He comes out with his chains and stuff, but that man don't say a word. He scores touchdowns and he dances on you. That's it. And Missouri's got a quarterback that just came in off of injury. That little white boy got some swagger too. You need to watch that game. That's the game of the week for 2-turn.
Hey!
Before I finish my pick,
about Missouri or drink piss.
That's the first time that we have seen an unbeaten Kansas versus an unbeaten Missouri since the Chase Daniel and I don't even know who Kansas had, but it was like the number 1 versus number 2 team the last game of the season. So I agree with you. I thought about putting that in here, and I'm glad you called that out. That's doing your homework. Number four right here, Arizona State. Y'all are absolutely senile if you think that Mississippi State is even going to be able to hold a cheeseburger in this game. It is over before the game is even whistled off. Arizona State has the most returning starters from any team in college football from last year, and they went to the college football playoff. They should have beat Texas, if we're being honest. They should have beat them. They are going to wipe the floor with Mississippi State, and they're going to go in there on Sunday morning to the Bulldog barn and get the biggest hamburger they can, and then they probably going to destroy the commode in the bathroom after they get done with Mississippi State. That's what's going to happen.
Y'all
no more scalaboo.
Hold on, I thought this was a pro SEC channel.
Hey, I call it how it is. That's what the chopping block does, Barry.
Mississippi State's about as bad as it gets. I do think they got a decent head coach, but like you said, Mississippi State it's bad, Barry. There ain't nothing in Starkville. But
we would all write Mississippi State's head coach's name in pencil because we don't know who the hell it is. Go to number 5, Barry. Michigan at Oklahoma. This is where you guys are beyond wrong as well. Here's what you didn't realize. You want to talk about opponents. Oklahoma played what? Eastern Illinois State last week? I mean, something outrageous. They rushed the ball for 3.3 yards a carry against them. And you think they're going to go up against Michigan and rush the ball? No. Bryce Wood is coming there. They are going to win by 17 points at Oklahoma. And then what you're saying is absolutely true. Oklahoma is going on the downfall, and Brett Venables, he is out. He is going to be fired. I mean, they're going to put him with one of those little sticks and like a little toilet paper holder to carry his shit out of there. He is gone within week 5.
If that's the case, we might be looking for a defensive coordinator next year. So he can go ahead and pack his bags and head to Tuscaloosa because I'll take him in a heartbeat at the defensive coordinator spot. I promise you.
Is Havoc still around? Are you still here, Havoc?
Yeah, I'm off camera. I'm still here. Okay. Games of the week. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Iowa, Ole Miss. Yeah, Lane Kiffin. He's been doing great at Ole Miss, and I expect him to continue. This game's gonna be hard for me to pick. I saw USF. Some of the highlights. Their QB is gonna be tough to stop, but I do think my Gators will pull this one out. Arizona State, Mississippi State. As much as I want to pick Mississippi State at home, I'm going to go with Arizona State. And then for the last game, I got to go with Oklahoma at home. Michigan. Yeah, I don't see them winning that game. Not this early in the season.
Y'all all gonna be broke this damn weekend. Y'all all gonna be broke. You're gonna eat sloppy joes all next week because you ain't got no money from this game. Wait and see.
Coach, what you got?
I already got them.
All right, I'm gonna name mine just for the record. I'm gonna go Iowa State, Ole Miss. I am gonna go USF. I'm gonna go Arizona State, and I believe Oklahoma gonna stabilize the Big Ten. Oklahoma gonna win that game. Oklahoma gonna win that game, Dalton.
If they do, listen. Sunday morning, I will throw myself on the pancake grill and burn myself alive because I just don't see it happening. Oklahoma couldn't run a football against Helen Keller's School of Deaf.
They're not trying to run though. Huh? They're trying to throw. That's what they got a quarterback.
They ain't gonna throw it neither. They ain't.
Let me get a dub on that game.
Hey, listen, I think we should end it right here, and we can keep it going backstage if we need to. We've gave all the people their flowers, their pizza, whatever you want to call it, their popcorn. Mercy me. The Chop and Block podcast week 2 was legendary. One of the best shows we've had in a while. But week 3 is coming soon, and you know what? We don't have a lot to unload, it seems like, next week, but who knows? College football is mysterious, and so is the Chop and Block podcast. Send us home, Barry.